Acts chapter 2, verses 43 onwards. Everyone, so it is talking again about these believers, everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. They said, this is really awesome. As they looked at these apostles going about performing miracles and signs, they definitely knew that God was doing that, but they were giving credit to these apostles, not because they were apostles, not because they were putting on a good show, not because they were kind of saying, oh, we are the Lord's, but because they were proclaiming the gospel. And why were these signs and miracles performed? What was the point of it all? We know that they did it only when it was needed for Jesus to be glorified. Wherever there was a need, when Jesus could be lifted up as God, that is when they performed miracles, and these people were filled with awe. What are we as a church filled with awe at? That is the question. Genuine deeds of genuine people is what made these people respect. You know, today, do we look at genuine needs? Do we look at genuine people who have the right heart? And do we have respect and awe? If at all we have. Someone taught me long back, if you are not humble, then you will be humiliated. He was not talking to me, he was talking to a class. He said, if you're not humble, you will be humiliated. But at the same time, we understand today it's not the case. When you are humble, in fact, you will be humiliated. Because it doesn't make people say, oh, that's a wonderful person. That's a wonderful person who's doing great things for the Lord. No, we won't show. But may God help us. This church was a mature church. They did not look at the show. They did not look at the apostleship as such. They did not look at the status. They looked at what these people were doing for God, and that is what made them respect and revere and have fear for these apostles. You get the idea? This is beautiful. May we become mature in such a way, because today everything is awesome for us. Okay? Everything is awesome. You look at anything and you say awesome. And ice cream is awesome. Do you know that? Okay, someone tastes an ice cream and they say it's awesome. But here they are using it, beautifully. The respect and the fear and the wonder was because of the quality of these people's lives. It's beautiful. May God help us that we will get that kind of a taste. Because sometimes this is what is happening. Why don't we appreciate good things? Why aren't we filled with awe at good things? Because our tastes have come down. In fact, that is what it is. We might think that we are growing up in our understanding and taste and maturity, but in reality, look at the humor that is everybody's laughing at. Sometimes you would find, hey, that's very silly. There is no wit in humor anymore. Not that we don't respect anything, but we respect the wrong things is what I'm saying. The church of the first century knew what was important. These people, it's not because of their apostles, they performed miracles and wonders for God's glory, and they did not put themselves on a pedestal, but the church looked at them and they said, oh, that's awesome, that's wonderful. May God help us that we will have that kind of a maturity, that we will see past the show, that we will see past the superficiality. We, instead of becoming more mature, instead of being able to see through superficiality into the depths of things, we have become superficial. If at all we are awestruck, it is by something that is so very silly, not by something that is very lofty. These people, for them, it was not just the miracles per se, it was not just the status of the apostles per se, it was more to do with these apostles are preaching the gospel. They are going about preaching the gospel and enlightening people, and we look at that and we are filled with respect for them. You get it? May God help us. Just think about your taste, because taste is acquired. You know that? What seems good to you might not have been good to you at one point of time. Someone taught you that it is good. You keep on doing that and you acquire a taste for it. But unfortunately today, we have acquired a lot of bad tastes that we need to look at what is lofty and say, this is what should amaze me, not this. I am not being amazed by lofty things because I have become, what? Yeah, forgive me. I have deteriorated in my intelligence. May God help us that we will acquire taste for good things. These people were awestruck by these apostles' intent of preaching the gospel, which they thought was amazing. All right, then look at the next verse, verse 44. All the believers were together. We need to understand Acts is not an entertaining book. It was not written for entertainment. It was written as a historic record. So when he says all, it means at least a majority. So it was not a hyperbole. He was not trying to exaggerate what was happening. All the people, right? All the believers, what did they do? They were together. This is beautiful. The unity in the first century church is amazing. The maturity, the unity. How does unity happen? Aren't we all diverse people? Aren't we all people who agree, disagree? Can there be perfect unity? What do you think about that? But when it says all the people were together, he's not just talking about the physical coming together, but in fact, he is talking about the mindset of them being together. They being united together. How can that happen? Do we have that? Even among two people, coming to an agreement is really tough. What about all the people? I think at that point of time, at least 3,000 to 5,000 people are there in the church. How could they have that unity? So they have the same tastes, we said. They have the right acquired taste, and therefore they are united in their focus, in their understanding. And as human beings, we all fail. But at the same time, unity could be established and created again by having the characteristics of Jesus, where one, you don't do bad to anybody, and therefore you don't hurt anybody, you don't separate yourself from other people. Another one is that we are all human beings. We do commit things. We do hurt people. But at the same time, if we have the heart of God, we would be humble enough to go and, become undignified. Not just before God, because being undignified before God is, what do you think? Easy, tough? Before God, I say, hey, I don't have any ego at all. I mean, you can't have any ego because He is God, obviously. But before people, having that, I've done something wrong, own it up. I'm not supposed to have done that. I'm sorry I did that. Own it up. And then you have unity. And not only that, not only the one person, but if you have become the victim of that exploitation, you also have the heart to say, what? It's all right. I forgive you. Then there is perfect unity. You don't just say, oh, let unity be there. It's not like God comes and says, let there be unity. Unity is not just going to happen like that. Unity is something that you work towards. I should not hurt other people, and therefore I create unity. If at all I have hurt other people, then I should have the humility to go and say, because today we become arrogant people, that, what? I will do things against you, but I will not ask sorry. I will not apologize. You know why? Because I have a big ego. Therefore, there is no unity. I come and ask you sorry. I come and say, hey, it's okay. I don't want to have that dignity anymore. And you don't have the, what? The nature to say, it's okay, then nothing is mended. Unity is a beautiful concept. May God help us to put it into practice in our own relationship, in the church. Do we have disagreements? Yeah, we could have disagreements because people are different. But let's put our ego aside. This group of people, they were united together. They were in unity. What a beautiful idea it is. Why did they have to do that? Why is there unity? If at all you do something wrong, why do you have to go and apologize? What do you think? Because you value that relationship, right? Because these people valued relationships. That is why unity was so very important. If you don't care for relationships, then you could do anything you want, and you could be arrogant. You could be holding a grudge against the person forever, and you would never be the church of Jesus Christ. This is the church of Jesus Christ, which was willing to forget, get back together. May God help us that we will have unity. People who had a lot of maturity, there is this unity among them. Are we really the church of Jesus Christ? Do we have unity? Are we humble enough? May God help us. Then it moves on. They were together, it says. All the believers were together, verse 44, and had everything in common. So this togetherness, the unity, goes on to create something called equality. See, these are beautiful statements. This is just one word each. I'm just taking two sentences, and we have so much there. The maturity, their taste is so beautiful. Then you have the unity that they give so much importance to, and they also give importance to equality. They had everything in common. Again, as I told you, it's not a hyperbole. It's not an exaggeration. It is real. Can we be like that? Just think about that. But again, we would always claim saying that I'm a part of the church of Jesus Christ. The church of Jesus Christ, what did it do? It established equality. Beautiful. The church was a commune almost, you know. You know what a commune is? A group of people living together and sharing possessions and responsibilities. That everybody works, everybody puts the resources together, and everybody eats, okay? So that's basically sharing, that everybody brings something to the table. It's not that people are lazy. It's not people saying, hey, I will not work, you feed me. No, no, no. I will bring something to the table. I will bring something, contribute something to the community, and I will also benefit from that. Meaning, I put everything that I have, all my skills, all my efforts into this, and everybody equally shares with that. It's a commune. You know, today, people say communism is anti-Christian because that's how we have understood it, yes? But the idea of commune did not start with the 17th century, let me tell you. Because people think that only during the French Revolution, this idea of the commune came to existence. It had been in existence long before the 17th century. In the first century, they had this. Just think about that. You know, yeah, we might not be able to put it into practice right now, but just think about this. If we don't have these as ideals, we will never grow. We might not be able to do it today, but we should be thinking about that. Put as the ideal. The Church of Jesus Christ was like this, creating equality. There, everybody had, you know, everything in common. It's beautiful. And communism, as I told you, is biblical. It's God's ideal almost. You know, even though the term communism was first coined and defined in its modern definition by French philosopher and writer Victor Dupay. And communist philosophy, as Dupay defines, is a commune. That's how it started. It's a commune, even though today it might be very different. And what is it? It's no private ownership of anything. But today, look at that. You know, Christians, we think that we even teach capitalism. We even say, you know what? You know, you have a luxurious life, you have a lavish lifestyle, and you know, we attribute it all to God. You know why I have all of those things? Because God blessed me. I don't care that you don't have food. I have what? I have millions of dollars. You know how? God blessed me. You ask, God will bless you. Right? This we encourage. We say, hey, ask God. You know, you have faith. You have faith. But we are losing. We are going away from the ideal of God, the ideal of the first century church, which was always about this commune. You know, and Christians practice capitalism, while Christ always taught this commune. It's beautiful. May God help us. Even in the Old Testament, we have this idea. As a church, we are trying to do that. Let me tell you, if you've been a part of the church, we try to do that as much as possible as a church, that we try to create equality. But if at all Christians do that, I think that the world will definitely be a better place, instead of just sitting and saying, you know what, God will bless you. God will bless you. I'll pray for you. It's such an easy excuse for anything. You come with a problem, and immediately I say, I'll pray for you. God will do that for you. I'm hungry, and you go to somebody and they say, I pray for you. God will meet your need. I don't know what we call that, what we should call that. Sounds very spiritual because it's all about prayer, right? So I pray for you. But what am I doing? You know, this is beautiful, that they were creating that equality. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. So what is equality? Equality is everybody having everything equally. Okay? But is that a reality? Do we all stand on the same plane? Okay. So how do we create equality? Today, supposing one person has 10 rupees, one person has 1,000 rupees, right? And if supposing, you know, we say, hey, everybody give 10 rupees. So we will feed the person who doesn't have anything. We are equally getting from everywhere. We are equally giving it back. But the point is, not everybody is starting at the same plane. And therefore, equality, even if we try to maintain equality, there will still be inequality. You know why? Because people start from different levels. I might give 100 rupees to each, and it would be added to whatever you have, and already you might be standing on different planes. You get it? So, here what they did was, it's beautiful. All those who had land, what did they do? They sold property and possessions and gave to anyone who had need. This is called equity. You know what equity is? Equality is basically, you know, like everybody is standing on the same plane. But some people might be short, some people might be tall, but you want them to be on the same plane. No prejudices, okay? So all of you stay on the same plane. But some of you are already short. Okay, some of you are already tall. And therefore, some have advantage, some have a disadvantage. But what is equity? Equity is basically giving more to the shorter person, to the lower person, and giving less to the... Yeah, I know this sounds very radical and this is there in the Bible. The idea is equity is the people who had, they sold so that people who do not have, could have more. It is basically giving more to the poor. And therefore, so that in the longer run there will be equality. This is the ideal of God. This is how the first century church operated. We talk about the first century church saying, hey, that's the church I need to be having as a role model. Are we a church like that? Just think about that. As Christians, have we ever thought about it this way? If not, then what are we even saying? Are we disciples of Jesus? Yeah, it is hard. Yeah, I have more, and you want me to give more? That person has, so should I give? Should I feed that person? Should I work and feed that person? It seems very unjust to us, but in fact, if at all we have to create equality, that is the only way it could be done. But equality and equity, these were ideals that the first century church lived by. So it's time to put an end to this kind of a rift. You look at the world, there is so much of rift. Look at India, look at your neighbor, look at people around you. Do you see a rift that happens, a rift which is becoming widened by the day? It's becoming, deeper by the day. Do you see that? That's happening. And somehow we have the audacity to say, God bless me. It's almost like Solomon, lifting his collar and saying, you know what? All these riches are from God. When he had, what he did? What did he do? He levied taxes on Israelites, and everybody had to give him the fattest animal from their household so that Solomon could have, do you know that? First Kings chapter 4, maybe go home and read it, so that he could have a lavish and a luxurious life. And he always claimed that these were all blessings from... Yeah, I know, you don't like me, right? Don't like this message. Earn more. Have a good life, no problem. But always think that, am I creating equality? Am I trying to give more so that somebody else could be lifted up? If that is the way it is, look at, future is important. But at the same time, their lands, their possessions, they were willing to, sell it so that someone else could be fed. So my security for tomorrow or someone's life today, what would be your reaction? That is what I'm saying. We all want to save, yes. We all put something aside for a rainy day, as people say. But someone today is in need. Someone is in need of food, basic necessities. Me having a good life 10 years later, or someone surviving today, when it comes to that, we don't look at society that way. We don't face real questions. That's the problem. But they did. And therefore, because they were united, they knew. And therefore, they created this equity. And lastly, every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. Today, 2 hours. 2 hours is actually more, right? 2 hours is like, hey, not 2 hours. Don't make it 10 to 12, right? Make it 10 to 11:30, 11:20, because 1.5 hours is too much. One day, 1.5 hours for the whole week, and we find it very difficult. Look at them. What did they do? Yeah, look at that. What did they do? Every day they met. It was not forced. It was not because Paul or Peter were saying, hey, you have to come. No. So it's because they had the desire. All of these things was out of their own. Nothing was forced. They were mature because they really understood what it was. They were trying to create equality because they understood the concept of equality. They were trying to bring this equity so that in the longer run, equality will be established. That was out of their own because they all understood the teachings of Jesus. And here also, they gathered together. Why did they gather together? The idea was being taught. The idea was being able to understand more about Jesus Christ. And they had the passion to learn. How many of you have the passion to learn the Bible? Through the week, do you have a passion to learn the Bible? We have so much of priorities for everything else, don't we? But do you have a passion to know Christ more? Every day they spend. And that is why that church was growing by leaps and bounds. That is when we can truly say that was a church of Jesus Christ. Jesus was pleased with it. Because, what? Because of the eagerness that they had. So I call it frequency, okay? Maturity, then unity, equality, which is created by equity, and now we have the frequency of their meeting. That is because more you are taught, the more you will change. I don't want to be taught, and therefore I will never ever change. You know what? So don't ever say teaching is less important. Let me tell you, be taught. Teach yourself, learn through the scriptures, learn from the life of Jesus Christ and from the life of the early church. Instead of, going in for some kind of a teaching, supposedly we call it teaching, which always, makes us feel good. No teaching that will make you grow will ever pat you on your back and say everything is all right. You know that? If your teacher always said that, hey, it's okay, would you ever correct a mistake? Would you ever learn something? We always learn when we know that we need to know. Oh, this I don't know. That's why I learn. Yes or no? So, know where we are supposed to be, know where we are, then we try to apply it. So the frequency, it is beautiful. But today, somehow this is not attractive to us. Coming together as a church is not attractive to us. Stephen J. Cole, he writes in an article called The Best Show in Town. He goes like this: the goal of the church today is to attract more and more people to attend your show, so that the offerings increase and you can hire more staff to make the show even more attractive to potential customers. So pastors and their staff members rack their brains and comb through ministry magazines for new ideas on how to get more people to come to your show. The church with the most people wins at last. Okay? This is how we think. He's a pastor who writes this of how Christianity has become today. What are you attracted to? Why do you even come to church? The early church had no great music. Do you know that? Music is good. But did they have great music in the early church? Thousands of people thronged. What do you think? What I'm saying is, why did people, meet? Did they have great structure, infrastructure? Did they have ACs? Did they have a charismatic leader who was like everybody? Because that's the fad today, right? It's just a name. You put a name, and sometimes you don't even listen to that name. You listen to what comes out from that name. It doesn't make any sense at all, but still people throng. You know why? Because it's a name. As I told you, we have become sheep. We don't know anything. Everybody says it's right, it's good, and we want to fit in. You know that? Because if you don't like something that has become viral, that means something is wrong with you. Do you think before you like something, there's something called mere exposure effect. Okay, read it. Mere exposure effect, which means the more you hear something, the more you will like it. The more people like it, you will also like. Okay, but if you are an independent thinker, that is the problem, because intelligentsia has become a minority. The mob has become the majority. Everybody likes, I like. Think. Why do you come to church? These people, they gathered every day so that they could really understand and study the scripture. That should be your motivation. Be attracted to it. Why is it not attractive to you? Because you have the wrong taste. Everybody likes it, I like it. Because if I don't like it, then it just means that something is wrong with me. The frequency is because they really understood the value. So why is teaching not so very important for us? Because we have not acquired that taste. But let me tell you, this is what is going to make you grow. This is what is going to please God, nothing else. So the Church of Jesus Christ, the early church, were mature enough to be awestruck by the right things, the intent of the godly people, and then they were united together, not because they were forced, but by choice. They brought that unity because they loved one another. Relationships were important for them. We talked about that. And because relationships were important for them, now they find people who are low, people who are high. They say, let's create equality. They work towards that, having things in common, creating a commune. And now they see, everybody shares equal, but that is not creating equality, because certain people are already, disadvantaged on a disadvantageous level, and certain people are already on an advantageous level. So no matter how much we share, things are not going to be equal anymore. And therefore, they said, let's create equity, which is basically, I have more, let me give more. People who have less, let them give less. So ultimately, this rift, it's going to slowly merge, and there is going to be absolute equality. And how did it all happen? How, no matter, see, just because one day you hear it, it's not going to happen. How is it going to happen? Because you frequent these teachings where it just works in your mind again and again. You get exposed to these teachings everywhere. It becomes a part and parcel of your life, and then you change. So everything is connected. May God help us that we will be like the early church, and we can truly say, oh, I'm a part of the church of Jesus Christ. May God help us. Let's bow on our heads and look to the Lord in prayer.